Yo, yo, yo. My name is Dex.
And this is Jay.
Queen Esther here.
And this is another episode of Complicated Discord. How's everyone doing today?
Doing good, man.
I'm great.
I mean, I saw you forcing that through a little bit, but we ain't gonna mention that. You know what? It's been a very, very dramatic week, to say the least.
Oh yeah, what's happening?
Oh, what's going on in the world? We got a couple of topics we're gonna touch on. The first being R. Kelly, the second being Masika, and the third being Jacob Blake. And we just gonna get into it.
Should be a good episode, man.
Before I get into this, I'm going to show you guys a little video. For those who are just listening to us and not watching, recently there's been a couple of protests and march in order to try to free Robert Kelly.
Better known as R. Kelly.
R.
Better
Kelly.
known as the Pied Piper.
He's the Pied Piper, all right? Yeah. But here, I'm going to play this little clip for y'all.
All right.
Give me a second here.
Now, is he still locked up right now?
Yes.
Well, first of all, I'd like to say I liked how they turned it into a song. You know?
Listen.
Because, yeah, usually people just Martin can, but they turned that into a whole thing, huh?
Let me tell you, man, listen. They were creative, I will say that much, but that type of fresh fuckery is uncalled for.
What do you have a problem with?
What do I have a problem with?
Yeah.
The problem I have is that they're marching to free R. Kelly. And, you know, I understand some people are going to say, well, some of these women were grown. I'm not talking about the grown women. Granted, they were the victims. I completely get that. What I'm talking about, let's not forget, this dude was smashing little girls. Aaliyah was only, 15 when they got married? Yeah. Even when you watch Surviving R. Kelly, had all these little girls, these 14-year-olds talking about, I went to R. Kelly's hotel and he did this and we did that. And you're sitting here trying to get this guy back on the street. What has he done to make you want to put him back out there?
I think it's the music, man. People love his music, and they're so tied to it. You know, it's a part of, I guess, their history, or their culture, is whatever they're doing for, man. And I don't know why they keep sticking their neck out for somebody who's not going to do the same for them, but I don't get it.
It's part of the culture, perhaps, but I think my view is definitely the following. I was paying attention to the video, and the people are saying he's owed due process, just like anyone else. And one thing we have to remember is that the legal system is not for us. It's bad that it always comes to this. He does deserve due process. And I think they're saying if this was anyone else, he would have been allowed to have bond.
Well, the thing is, I don't know if you know, R. Kelly has notable finances. At this point, he becomes a flight risk. He could rent a jet and fly out of the country, and can no one stop him? He is far from that. What's that?
Didn't he owe child support or something?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, but then recently in the news, they came out with a story that R. Kelly has $1 million that he gained in someone else's name. On top of that, don't forget there was a GoFundMe account where they were donating, for his bail.
He should have had money. He should have had money before all this. Where did all that money go? That's my question.
You know what? That's not. Honestly, I don't know where it went. I don't know the situation with his finances. Yeah. Maybe it was frozen, maybe not. I honestly don't know. I can't speak on that. What I can say is I feel like it's absolutely ridiculous to try to free a man that we know did something wrong. And the worst part about it is we allowed this to happen. This is nothing new. This isn't something that started yesterday. Mm-hmm. This dude been smashing little girls for years now. And because he made good music, people felt like it was okay and let it continue to happen.
They gave him a pass.
Well, yeah, because he had one thing. He had money. Money is power. And all people saw was I'm going to get my girls to get a good career, but they didn't see the detriment in it. I think another thing they're also saying with the the protesting is the man is he clearly needs mental help. He needs therapy other than just being locked away. Yes, he notably did something wrong, and yes, he deserves to pay for it, but is the process being done correctly, or are they handling it differently because of whom he is?
Let me ask you this. If he gets out, what's the chances of him doing that again?
Well, like I said, a problem needs to be addressed. He has childhood problems. Like, he was misused, raped, etc. as a child, and probably didn't learn to read, but at a certain age, like, he needs help and therapy more than just being locked away.
Wasn't he molested himself?
Exactly. Those are the things that he went through during his childhood, which is skewing his view of how to act as an adult. Because yes, he's done a lot of wrong things and looked for children, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
And he had to pay for those things, but...
And, I think that's my biggest issue. At the end of the video, they're like, where were the parents? To turn around and say, where were the parents? You're showing that you don't even care about how these little girls feel or the whole situation.
Yeah. No, everything was about survival and finances and money. And that's what he had at the time, which is why these parents were so willing to just walk into his camp and like listen to him because he has his way into the industry. So multiple people in this instance were wrong.
I feel like that episode of Boondocks said it the best, where Riley was saying, you want to help R. Kelly? Take away his video camera. Introduce him to older women. Get him some counseling, but don't make him seem like a hero. And if we wanted to help R. Kelly, that would have been the time when it was an issue. You don't wait until the dude then ran through, 17, 15-year-olds to decide, hey, you know what?
Nip it in the bud.
Maybe not. Or not. Don't wait till you get arrested. Be like, okay, well, we need to get this man counseling, so we should let him out for that. Fix it before it became such a huge issue. So now that you're saying, hey, let's free R. Kelly because he has mental issues, or he has... I don't even want to say mental issues because he has
childhood trauma.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I couldn't find the word, but if you're going to say free him because he has past childhood trauma, then you should have said that back in the day when it's, hey, you know what, he has past childhood trauma, but let's try to help him before this becomes a thing. This could have been stopped years ago, but people choose to turn a blind eye to it.
Honestly, I don't think there's no helping people who have that kind of condition. Honestly,
there is help.
You can try to help them, but at the end of the day, it's kind of who they are as a person. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But he needs therapy. Yes, he's at this certain age group now where, you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean that he's not deserving.
You don't think throw the baby out with the bathwater? You know, because that's what I say.
Ew. He just...
You don't like that?
Ew. No, but I'm just saying, yes, I mean, I don't even want to go into the things that he's done. Like, he's still a human being. He still deserves some level of therapy and some kind of help, somebody pouring something into him. Because I listened to a small amount of, XYZ things that he was saying. He was like, people always want to just come and take from me. And a dog crying wolf or something. So yes, it was deflecting from what people were paying attention at the time, which, my dude, you got some issues. You're doing things wrong. And he was like, but people do this to me, the blame game. But at the end of the day, we just need to acknowledge that he's a human being. He needs help. He went through trauma. Yes, he's done wrong things, and he still needs to pay for them.
Mm-hmm. I think he deserves his due process, but outside of that, the people don't need to be marching for him. He doesn't need no extra help, honestly.
He absolutely deserves help. He absolutely deserves due process, but all that could be taken care of where he is.
Mm-hmm. Instead of letting him back on the street where he could possibly do this again.
The thing is, everyone that's marching to free R. Kelly, they're saying that from an objective standpoint. Yeah. Imagine that would have been your daughter. You out here marching free R. Kelly. He gets out in the street, and the first one he runs into is your daughter.
Yeah.
Then what happens? Yeah. Then after something else happens, now all of a sudden we're up in arms to get R. Kelly locked up again.
You should be marching like, could we get him help? Give him his due process, which they were saying, but then they'd be like, his music is great, and you're skewing the lines. You need to focus on the things that were done incorrectly and how to fix them. Not all the wonderful stuff the person has done in the past.
And you're right. If they were saying something like, hey, we looked at his treatment, while he's been locked up, and it's dehumanizing, that needs to be fixed. I understand. I could completely get that. I completely understand that. But to completely dismiss his wrongdoings and then to turn it around and try to blame it on the parents. So because the parents weren't there, it's okay for what happened. don't wear where the parents meet. That's absolute bullshit. That's like if your child getting run over by a car. Well, where were the parents? Why weren't you watching the kids?
Yeah.
Excuse me, you ran.
But at some point, parents do have to be held responsible,
and they should be. Yeah. But at the same time, he should also be held responsible for his choices. Because believe it or not, no matter how much trauma he's had, that was a choice. He knew that it was wrong. He knew that it was illegal, but still continued to do it. And to take it even one step further, the amount of energy and time it took to cover everything up and try to paint it into a pretty picture and to tie a pretty bow on it, he could have said, well, you know what, maybe, for all this trouble, maybe I do need to get something.
Well, why would anybody do that?
Nobody's acknowledgement of his own wrongdoings.
Most people don't want to admit they need help, though, honestly.
But again, like I said, maybe it's just me. I just kind of feel like after a certain level of trying to cover something up, I'm like, you know what?
Well, people are different.
Mm-hmm.
No, you're right.
This is also not something that you just admit to. Okay, there's a lot of things that you can say. Okay, yeah, I did wrong here. I did wrong there. Listen. Come on now. Okay. It's not something that you just say, oh, yeah, I take the blame. People don't do that.
You're right. But you know what? You could have chosen to not do it. After the first 2 times, you could have said, you know what? This is terrible. Let me stop.
It's a choice.
To stop. He made that choice. Trauma or not, he made that choice. He's not a child.
To do those things, yeah.
He's not a child. He knew what he was doing and he did it.
He's where he needs to be. And he should probably stay where he's at.
Exactly my point. I kind of feel like Surviving R. Kelly did paint R. Kelly out to be a monster. I will say that.
But people already knew this ahead of time. Yeah, I don't see why they had to wait for a documentary to come out for all this to come back up again.
But that's my point. As much of as a monster as they painted him out to be, and as he might have been, everyone turned a blind eye until it was in the public light, until it was, look, you can't ignore this now. Now you need to answer for this. What do you have to say?
How does a man not go to jail for something until a documentary comes out about it? How does that happen?
Because the plethora of things going on at the time. But if you take this view, you know how families always like to cover the family secret, and at some point during history, things always come to the light. This was this instance. It was people were having the hush, quiet mouth about the situation.
I don't think it's that. I think back in the day, I think we were way more accepting to certain things. And as time goes on, we start realizing that the things that we're doing back then were wrong. Like he was just saying the word that he was, I can't really say that word, but the word that you were saying before, you can say that back in the day. You cannot say that now. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, but think about it.
People putting keys into ignitions for a very long time. I don't know.
Right.
Listen, when AJ Net But a Number came out, she was 15, 16 when that album came out. Yeah. But there were whispers going around even back then that R. Kelly and Aaliyah had something going on.
But back then,
exactly. But there was less of a social media introduction into the world, so things were still low key.
I wouldn't even say that. It was more accepting to date somebody who was younger. Look at Elvis. Elvis married, I think it was a 15.
Yeah.
Listen, back in the day, it was way more accepting to do certain things, and now that we're in 2020, we can look, like you said, we have hindsight. We can look back and man, we dropped the ball on that.
Hold on, let me point something out to you here, just real quick. I don't know if you've noticed, but people aren't dragging, Elvis Presley for what he did.
Well, I think half the reason is because he's passed away. But if he wasn't alive, I think they would have roasted him a little bit. They would have brought it up at least.
Look how people died and they're still bringing up their past. Well, this person did this in their past.
Well,
it's because of his color. Elvis was white.
That's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying to.
People get a pass,
and it didn't make it any better that he was also a musician that everyone seemed to love. Mm-hmm. The more love you have, the less likely someone.
The issues that you have getting ignored.
That's the same reason R. Kelly got away with this for so long, because when he did this to Aaliyah, that was dead wrong at that time, and nobody said nothing.
Yeah, it's but it was ignored. You're right.
People just look like, oh yeah, that's wrong, but whatever. I'm just going to go about my day.
They turned the other cheek.
Yeah.
Overleap for that, just for the good music.
But now that it's 2020, people look. Oh man, they're flaming everybody for everything that they've done, and it's a good thing, really.
Cancel culture?
Yeah, cancel culture. But we sometimes...
That's exactly what I was going to say.
They do.
Yeah.
They do take it too far. Yeah. They'll force people just to apologize, just so they can be like, well, that was insincere.
Mm-hmm.
That's the culture we are in today.
Mm-hmm.
The culture where where, it's okay to do certain things if you're this person, but not for that person. And the craziest thing is when you look at these videos, there are people on there older than us that's marching to free R. Kelly.
Yeah. So you're saying yourself.
But because they have a different view. They're not really focusing on the fact that he's a musician. They're not focusing on the fact that he's had such a wonderful music career. They're also viewing the fact that he's a black man.
Yeah.
And the fact, just like with Michael Jackson too, things kept coming up year after year after year. They always want to degrade, you know what I'm saying, a level of greatness. Be like, okay, you all the way up here, but we're going to tarnish your reputation for some reason, however it may be. That's what I honestly feel. So I feel like that's why people were compelled to come out and march for him. Beyond the fact that
you knew some of those people, honestly, because the way that they were organized, it kind of felt like they were maybe family members or somebody that he knows.
But listen,
who normally would do that? There
is a GoFundMe account for this dude that they have some funds in there. People are trying to get him out. It just shows you the way things are. No one wants to be empathetic to the people that were harmed in the whole situation. Mm-hmm. Everyone is forgetting about, the 15-year-olds and the 14-year-olds.
And the two ladies that he was in a whole relationship with who have decided to disband themselves now that the individual who's keeping everything together is gone. That's a view. And the level of psychological, hold he had on them is getting broken because they don't want their separate ways.
And it's even crazy because R. Kelly's brother said it before. He's like, I've been telling them for years, this man needs help.
Yeah, something was wrong with him.
He needs help. And now we want to wait until now. We want to wait until now where it's too far, to where he's done where he's broken the camel's back with that final straw to be like, hey, let's hold his feet to the fire. This should have been the case from day one.
If he needs help, it's like his responsibility to get help. You know what I mean?
I mean, yes and no.
Yeah.
Because hold on. It is his responsibility, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like a drug addict. Sometimes, they try to get help, but something in them doesn't allow them to stick to it.
Yeah.
You understand?
And that's why you put him, not the drug addict, but you put him in jail.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing. I feel like everyone that was around that allowed it to happen is complicit in everything that happened, and their feet should be held to the fire just as well. Yeah. It shouldn't just be R. Kelly.
Yeah.
Everyone that covered it up and kept it a secret.
People who are marching, maybe.
They should be held accountable too. Because at the end of the day, they didn't directly do it, but they indirectly assisted him in staying out in the street and then continuing to let it happen.
Yeah. Nah, definitely.
But,
I don't know.
But yeah, I don't know. Huh?
How do you feel that keeping him in prison is going to be of assistance to society?
Because he's not out doing the same thing.
Yeah, that's what my biggest worry is.
And like I said,
he comes out and starts doing the same exact thing.
And listen, like I said, with the money he has, he can get out and disappear.
Mm-hmm. And let's be honest, it's R. Kelly at the end of the day. So we know that he could do this again because people still love him.
Exactly.
People are marching for him.
People are going to hide. So people are going to help him get out of the country.
Second, he could be right back to where he's just doing the same thing in another country.
Exactly.
And keep him in prison, but is anything getting rectified in prison? That's what I mean.
Lester is off the street, so I would think.
I totally understand all of these wonderful things, but what's the purpose? Because he's also still using taxpayers' money, just like a lot of other quote unquote criminals out there that are not criminals at all, but they really just need help.
So then what do you think is the best
recourse that we could take?
Yeah, what do you think we can do now to fix it now that it's already happened?
Mm-hmm.
What, him being in prison?
Yeah, yes.
I definitely feel like they need to wholeheartedly find a program or programs to keep him on some level of therapy and to converse about whatever it is that he went through and try to find some resolve within him. Is it going to fix him? You can't fix anyone. Things like that take years, but to have him face himself, since you have him in prison looking at 4 walls, have him face himself.
Yeah.
So, because he clearly doesn't necessarily view as what he does is incorrect because that's how he was taught coming up. You're being raped.
He's R. Kelly at the end of the day. Listen, the way I live my life and the way he lives his life is two completely different things. It's when you have it like that.
Does he follow this? Is he supposed to follow the same laws in which
That's what I'm saying. The laws are blurred, like you said. The lines are blurred when you're a person.
That's what I'm saying. He's still a human being that needs to follow laws at the end of the day. And just having him behind bars is not...
Well, it goes back to what Dex was saying. If he can get all that treatment and stuff while he's in jail, doing his time.
Keep in mind, he could get all that treatment and still come out and do...
How is he supposed to get a level of reform? He's just using taxpayers' money.
He is, but there's a lot of people who use
reform, but there's no level of reform. There's just a level of discipline.
I'd rather see people with low-level offenses of having marijuana possession get let out, but a child molester...
Of course, but listen, that's all wish, but this is a different... What? This is a ball game.
Listen, long story short, regardless of whether he's in prison or not, a change needs to be made. At the end of the day, I get what you're saying. He does need to get help. But even if he's in prison and he's getting help, we're still going to be paying for that. It's still going to come out of taxpayers' money.
He also needs to get all the people he ran through and in life, not sexually, but just, hurt them because he had ex-wives or whatever that went through something with him, and then his daughter or whatever the case may be. They all need to go through therapy because they were all tight-lipped and closed-mouthed, like you said. Parents, everybody up and down needs to be addressed at this point.
They're complicit.
Acknowledge the decisions that were made.
But not to harp on this one too long, let's jump into the next topic.
And what would that be, man?
We're going to brain for now.
We're going to talk about Masika. We're going to talk about how tone deaf she was in this last video that she did.
Tell the people who Masika is.
It was absolutely ridiculous. Masika was a young lady that started off on Love and Hip Hop, I want to say it was.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I think she did some songs. I'm not a... Esther, do you know much about Masika?
Yeah.
I know of her. Like you said, she was on Love and Hip Hop, and that is as far as she goes for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I just know that apparently everyone seems to love her for whatever reason.
Well, and is she like Fetty Wap's baby mother or something?
Yeah, that's right. She did have a child with Fetty Wap.
Yeah.
But the thing is, recently she had put out a video. She was working on a movie or a TV show that had to do with sex trafficking. And she put out a video. You know what? I'm just going to play it.
You do that.
That might be a little easier than explaining. Here.
I'm already irritated.
I said you guys have to leave me tips and follow me so they can take the money out of me. Please help. Tip me $100 each.
So that was the video she put out.
I didn't mean for my mouth to be. Was my mouth trucked up?
I was looking at the video.
Every time I watch the video, I honestly, my mind goes blank. I'll forget what I was going to say. I'm like, really?
I cringe a little bit.
That is.
I'm not gonna lie.
I don't know what to say.
Here's the thing: when it first came out, people thought that she actually got kidnapped, but then she kind of plugged her OnlyFans. She's like, in my OnlyFans, go ahead and deposit the money, or they won't let me go. And later on, she came out and said, hey, this is all movie makeup. I'm shooting a series. I decided to use this time to kind of bring light to, sex trafficking.
Uh-huh.
And the tips that I make, I'm going to donate it to Rose. The thing is, the young lady from Rose came out and said, we were not okay with that. We had nothing to do with that. And we won't be accepting any of the tips that were made through OnlyFans. This is tone deaf. It is unacceptable. We don't want anything to do with it.
Going against the cause of what's going on, man.
And the thing is, Masika came out and apologized later on, but at that point it was too late.
They tried to get her to apologize, and she wouldn't apologize at first.
Yeah,
and then after she got fired.
Did. Yeah, she had gotten dropped from Double Edge.
I forget. It's like a streaming service.
Yeah, it was some service she had gotten dropped at. And that's where we are today. She did some dumb shit, and the world did not like it.
Okay,
Where do you start?
I know how to feel. First of all, it was completely distasteful, horribly done. I did read an article because it was calling her an actor, and I was like, after looking at that, I'm like, actress where? I just
that was bad.
I get it. We're supposed to be in all good faith, but if you're plugging somewhere for people who work for their hard-earned money to put their money in some kind of whatever fund, OnlyFans account. It's wrong. The principle of it is wrong. I don't care what she was trying to do. You have a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't you have, like, use that time to teach her effectively, but you're going to go and bamboozle people to give you money. That's a very serious topic.
Extremely. And the fact of the matter is there's other people who are actually going through that kind of trauma.
Exactly. Like, she's the most needed sex trafficked woman I've ever seen. Like, you got beat up, but your bra and everything is popping, and I don't understand
that's
why.
Like, Juicy Smouye. It's the same thing. It's the same thing with him, man. It's you're making us look bad. That's at the end of the day, you're making us look, because there's people who really have things happen to them. And so when they go forward and they want to speak about what happened to them, people are going to be like, oh, wait, you're not telling the truth, because it's a boy who cried wolf.
On her hands. That's how I feel. I feel she had on her hands. If only people could use their reach in a more positive fashion, and I get that was her intention, but I'm not with it. I'm not with it at all. What about y'all, man?
Look, listen, at the end of the day, I understand she may have been trying to save money, or so she says. Mm-hmm. She said that money was going to go towards Rose, but say it again.
And then where did it go now?
That's my point. You have like the founder of Rose was like, I'm not accepting that. We didn't ask for any of that. That is unacceptable. So now what? Like, how did you know that's where it was going?
Keep that money, first of all, right?
What did she get?
That's going to hurt her career, like, going forward, because now people look at you the same way they look at him, like, okay, well, we can't really believe anything that you ever say or do. You know what I mean? So you really just
she's just I don't. And the only reason the Rose people did that is because it was distasteful, and they wanted to separate themselves from the messiness that was about to come with Masika. Exactly. Because they probably would have taken had she just come as a donation.
They asked her to apologize. Yeah.
Well, I don't think Rose asked her to apologize.
But the network did.
But like I said, it's the whole. You know what it is? It's tact. She had no tact when she did it. She could have easily said, hey, you know what? Hey, everyone, my name is so-and-so. I want to talk to you about something serious. She had plenty of outlets. People look at her. Yeah. She could have said, hey, you know what? If you want to help, donate to this link down here, or go to rose.org.
She could have even done a scene and then came out of character and was like, I really did this because I wanted to open up awareness about sex trafficking, XYZ. That was completely distasteful. I am disgusted, honestly, I was like, what was the reason? Like, that's how I feel. She could have done more. She could have done more by doing less. Yeah. Period.
I think she was going for shock value.
Yeah.
Because at the end, she says, now that I have your attention. But why do you need that kind of attention?
Because she knows the generation we live in, and they think, I'm not going to say they think fast, but they are used to having things just dropped in their lap. Mm-hmm. They want to know what to think and feel instead of going and looking for their own views. So she knows how to draw people's attention.
This all goes full circle, though. You know what it boils down to? It boils down to the culture we're in today, to where shock and awe is what gets attention. It's
reality TV.
It's to where the most ratchet and the most attention grabbing stuff are the things that cause the most. Like, I can guarantee you, if I turn around and punch Jay in the face right now on this show,
oh yeah, we'll totally. Right.
Well, our views would just it would go so.
Maybe one of these days we should do that, man. How hard did you hit?
You want to find out?
Left hand. Do it with your left hand. But man. Let me ask you this: do you think you could have done a better job with the makeup? Because I think
that too. That was another thing. I was like,
she got hit by a car, right?
But is that supposed to be believable? You could have ripped up your fancy lingerie for the view. I'm disgusted. It was a waste of time, waste of film, etc. Data, whatever the fuck, gigs, something.
Hey, let me ask you a question. There was a certain part where she turned and she showed her ass to show a bruise on her ass. Was that necessary?
Did you see the one where she turned all the way around?
It was for she wants to catch multiple avenues of views. She wants the boys who can't control their testosterone. People are just curious about what a Brazilian butt lift looks like. She wanted the various views. Anything to get money in that OnlyFans account. That's all she was thinking about, honestly. She was yearning for the views she used to get from Love and Hip Hop, and they probably have declined because Love and Hip Hop has kind of done so too. Sorry, Love and Hip Hop.
She shot herself in the foot with that one.
She definitely did. But now I think she's going to learn that this is something that shouldn't have been done, and she should next time take a different route.
Well, I don't think there's going to be a next time, because when you do something like this, you really kind of blackballed from the industry.
Yeah, she cancels herself.
You know what? I'm actually waiting to see if cancel culture picks up on this one too, the way they've been jumping to some other people.
Yeah.
Well, she was already irrelevant to a lot of people. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I really feel bad for saying a lot of things I'm saying, but I wasn't paying attention to her at all.
Well, no, she was irrelevant. I heard the name before, but I didn't really know who she was. That's me though.
That's what I'm saying. Like, she's looking for the attention so she could get back out there. She does have a child to feed.
Yeah. But regardless, I'm curious to see if cancel culture is going to jump on this one on some cancel Masika. Because I've seen them try to cancel other people for a lot less.
I don't think they have time for her. That's what I'm trying to say. I don't think they have time for that. Like, at this point, they'd be like, okay, cancel the cops, cancel racism. They should do that. Let me see. Cancel those ugly ass shoes. From Kanye West. Them space looking shoes though.
Why you don't like the Yeezys?
Why do you sound so triggered?
I think he did them with Rose, D Rose. He did a pair of shoes with D Rose, and they cancel those before they.
Why do you sound so triggered? Oh my god!
Oh my god! Because one of my friends had brought me the picture, and I'm like, what are those? Yeah. I really felt like they look like they're supposed to be fashionable Crocs.
They look like something you should never leave the house with. That's what it looks like.
Precisely. It looks like house slippers, but sneaker house slippers.
Yeah.
I can only imagine what the price tag on them are going to be.
It's expensive.
I can imagine.
And it looks like they just cut up styrofoam in a design until you can put your foot in it.
You know why?
Cancel.
People will buy anything.
As long as you put something on it,
They want to know what to do, what to follow. They don't want to come up with their own styles.
The quality of the shoe is just not there. So for the price that it's going for, no shoe is really worth that.
People are going to buy
shoes especially.
People are looking for a reason to spend money. Mm-hmm. Look at the Red Octobers.
Yeah.
Granted, I will tell you, I did kind of like the Red Octobers, but not enough to pay what he was asking for them. Yeah.
I know nothing about which you speak.
Red October.
It took me a while to figure out what they were too. They're one of the shoes that I actually seen. I said, you know what, I like them.
Explain to what they are. Whatever.
They're pretty nice, but they're all red shoes. They're Nikes or red shoes. I think they're Yeezys. I believe they're red Yeezys, but they're dope looking. But
showing our
say it again.
Nothing at all.
The point is, they weren't good looking enough to me to drop that kind of bank on them.
Really? If you were rich, would you buy them?
No.
Never. You never spend your money on them.
No.
Millionaire.
Nope.
Billionaire.
Nope.
Okay then.
Listen, if and when I become rich, I am going to ensure I stay that way.
Okay. By not buying Yeezys.
By not buying reckless shit.
These are clean though.
You like them?
Yeah.
Can you show them to me?
They're clean.
Can you show them to me, Esther?
Yeah, they're dope, man.
8. Why does that have an 8 and there's 4 digits to this number? Why?
That's style right there.
I didn't make the shoes.
That's style.
I don't know about style because I love my uptails and that's just fine.
Having the barcode on the outside of the shoe, that's style. That says something.
You
could just put it inside the shoe.
There's not enough accounting for style nowadays.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Wait. Is it by Nike? Because these have to be Nike. Are these Nike, bro?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe so.
So it's Nike Yeezys. These is popping. That's why I even
like them. How much does it say they are? Ooh, okay.
Yeah. This says $1,688.
That is carrying a
and they took off. No, they took off 13%. They took off $1,310. Look.
What is that? Is that StockX you're looking at?
Yeah.
Okay. Man,
I don't.
Those are.
Well, what was the next subject, man?
Well, we don't got a whole lot to talk about Masika, so
that's what I'm saying. Irrelevancy.
She's gonna be canceled, so there's not much.
She canceled something that was already canceled.
The next thing I want to talk about is actually pretty serious. It's something that happened recently, and the world is up in arms yet again. I'm not sure how much you guys have been following about this Jacob Blake incident, where the gentleman was. The police were called, I guess, because him and his significant other were involved in a domestic issue. And from what I understand, I believe he had a knife in his car, and he told the officers, "I have a knife in my car." And he was trying to leave and and he was like, "I'm done. I'm not having this conversation. I'm leaving. He was trying to get into his car.
Vehicle, right?
And the cops pulled the gun. The cop had his gun out prior to him even getting to his car.
Two of the cops had their guns out.
And as he was bending into his car, they shot him. They shot at him 7 times, but 4 of them hit him in his back. And they're saying now that the young man may be paralyzed for the rest of his life.
No, he is going to be paralyzed for the rest of his life. A bullet through his stomach. He lost like more than 90% of his small intestine. Like he's effed up for the rest of his life for some BS, and I'm upset.
Well, no, they were saying that he may be able to walk again. I'm not sure. I haven't really, I don't know anything about it after that. The last thing I seen, they say he might be able
walking
to walk.
Or not. It's
a terrible
situation from jump.
It's just a traumatic instance, even of which 3 children should have never went through. His his significant other that was, whoever was arguing, nothing should ever have to come to that.
And look, the reason people are making such a big deal, of course, another black person shot by cops.
Law enforcement. We're going to put law enforcement.
Okay, let's just say that, law enforcement. But the reason it's becoming more and more of a relevant situation is because right after that, there were 2 separate events where the exact opposite happened. There was one where a gentleman walked to his car after, being told by the cops not to, pulled out a gun, was waving it in the air, and then he shot at the cop. And the cop said, we didn't want to shoot at him because 5 feet behind him, he had his car with children in it. Okay. Which, might I add, Jacob Blake had kids in the car, and they shot him blank range into the car, in front of the children. Okay. The same thing happened with...
matter of fact, when they were on the other side of the car, they had the guns pointed at the car, at him, while the kids were in the vehicle.
And then the same thing happened with, I think it was Philando Castile, when he was in the car with his
lady and his child in the back.
Yeah. And then the next situation was in Kenosha, actually. Yeah. Rioting started because, again,
night after,
black people are sick of being treated like a person.
Yeah, lesser than.
Or hold on. Or if we go back in this, we were 1/3 of a person.
Yeah.
We're sick of it. And the thing is, people were rioting and revolting. And this young man, Kyle Rittenhouse, decided to go with his militia. They drove 30 miles away to go and protect the businesses that had nothing to do with them.
So I thought that the business was one of their friends. So that's why they...
I don't know, maybe.
And then what happened with the militia? You said they tried to get...
They tried to get deputized, but then they were told not to.
Yeah.
And the thing is, they went out. I'm not exactly sure the full incident. From what I've been hearing different stories. One said that one of the gentlemen threw a plastic bag at him and tried to get his gun, and he shot the guy 4 times.
Wow.
And as he was running...
An AR-15, huh?
Yeah. Okay. And as he was running, some people chased him down. And he shot 2 more people. 2 of the people died and 1 didn't. And the narrative happens to be a whole different situation on his end. For Kyle Rittenhouse, they're saying that it's self-defense. They're saying that the police and the government decided to turn their back on Kenosha. So these armed kids were patriots by protecting the businesses.
I'll tell you what they said. They said that somebody was charging at one of the people that got killed.
It doesn't
charging at him with a fire extinguisher.
It doesn't matter.
And he was just.
It doesn't. The point remains that kid, that little boy, had no reason to have that weapon. He had no reason to travel 30 miles and be there in the first place. On top of that, he was also out after curfew. You understand?
Nobody's looking at these.
Here's the problem with somebody does something like that. It's they have the intent to use a weapon. So when somebody has a gun like that, when the cop drew that, I was telling him this earlier, when the cop drew that gun on him, he had the intentions of using it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So no matter how the situation was going to play out, he wanted the situation to end with him firing his weapon.
His weapon. whole entire weapon.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he went out of his way to shoot somebody.
You go 30 miles, you're going to shoot somebody. Am I right?
Exactly. You're not just
going 30 miles just to post up and have a good time. No, you're going to do something.
So the biggest issue that everyone is seeing here is, why is it all of a sudden this guy is a patriot? You know, why is that? Why is it the fact that this man, after shooting 3 people, walked past police with a rifle on his chest, got to go home and sleep, and then get up and turn himself in? Why is it his extradition trial was extended? Because the judge said that they wanted to give him time to find private counsel. You know, why is it that there's why is there a GoFundMe account that's raised? Last I heard, it was up to $100,000 for his defense.
If it hasn't been more clear,
for somebody who murdered 2 people, that's insane.
Say that again, please.
He was saying this guy murdered 2 people and he's getting all these special privileges. Yeah. And the thing is, I kind of feel like we sound like broken records. Since we've been doing this podcast, we've spoke about racial inequality multiple times, and it seems like no one is getting the picture.
The NBA is finally doing something about it.
The NBA, the women NBA, they are, but that's not. But that's the thing. That's the thing. The NBA and the women's NBA is about it. What about police reform? Yeah. That was
the real issue, the real thing that's going to solve these issues.
The issue, exactly. The issues aren't getting handled. People are saying, well, you know, because one person said, why were these people got shot? Because they were out past curfew. The kid that shot people were out past curfew too.
Was that the most insincere thing you've ever heard in your life? What the police chief said? The reason why they got shot, or if they wouldn't have got shot if they weren't past curfew? Okay. All right. We see what's going on, though.
Like, at the end of the day, we all know that we are getting shot for less.
Yeah. I think also need to acknowledge that we need to come together. Other than just like protesting, like it's something that's blatantly within front of our face. We're not, the United States keeps trying to tell us and show us we don't belong here.
Yeah, that's what it comes down to. That's what it feels like. And that's not a good feeling, man. When you're living somewhere like you're not welcome.
It wasn't a good feeling to be dragged away from our home either. Our ancestors, excuse me. I'm like all personal, but like it wasn't right for that to happen either. And just because things never happened right from back in the day, they're still continuously perpetuating the same concept.
The same thing, yeah. Oppressing the shit out of us, yeah.
It's sharing of culture, and it's so consistent. That's why it's still here. It's going to be the hardest thing to get rid of.
Here's the crazy thing. If you had looked at some of the news articles that came out, if you look in the past and up to now, when was it Trayvon Martin got killed? Yeah. The news painted this kid out to be a drug. He had weed in the system. He had this. He was wearing a hoodie. He was doing all that. He was threatening, and they made the victim out to be the bad guy.
Bad guy because they all fit the same description.
And then
a little 12-year-old with a fake gun killed.
And you know, someone's going to come out. Well, you know, if they were listening to the police, they wouldn't have gotten shot. But yet we see many examples of people that aren't black not listening to the police. They're wrestling you down. They're pulling knives. They're swinging. And these cops are doing everything in their power to not shoot them. Let's be perfectly honest. The cops could have pulled out their taser and tased.
There's a lot of options. There was 3 of them.
Jacob Blake, you mean?
Yeah. There was 3 of them and 1 of him. There was plenty of things that they could have done instead of pulling out their weapon on one man. On one, you are 3 officers, and you're going to pull out your weapon on one guy. That lets you know the fear that they have
of us. Exactly.
And that's really what this shit stems from. It's from this fear.
And check this out. I don't know if you guys have dealt with firearms much in your life, you know, being in the military. But why would you have to shoot someone point blank range 7 times? Yeah. Or shoot at someone point blank range?
That's fear.
That's the force.
Hatred.
Yes. Yes.
I want to say hatred, then fear. That's solely what it could be, because I was like, you were just tussling with him on the floor. You were way closer. If he wanted to grab your gun and freaking do what you just did to him, to you, it would have been done already. You're so terrified. Like,
there was actually another video of this guy. I wish I would have loaded it up, but I didn't. But there was a kid who was high off of meth, I think it was. And he walked into a police station.
I've seen that video.
And fought 7 police officers, grabbed one of the officers' gun and shot it and shot it. And yet they still managed to handcuff that kid and get him into a jail cell without killing him or beating his ass.
That was literally what I saw, because I watched that video so many times. I'm talking about the one with Jacob Blake. And all I could see was, as you said, the intention of using a firearm. Because, it didn't just, there was multiple views of the situation. And I'm like, I wonder how the officers in question, their ego was touched, because that's the only reason why he would do something like that. He heard the first couple of shots. That was a lot of time to press a trigger. I've not used a gun too much in my life, if at all. But I know you have to consciously, cock something back and redo it, unless you got, an automatic, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's wrong.
Yeah. All the way.
And and like I said, the biggest issue is how these two very similar but kind of very different cases are going to be handled.
Exactly.
Watch how quickly they're gonna say, the weapon had a malfunction, which is why it went off that night. The watch is gonna come out, some shit like that, yo.
And you know what I've already heard? I've heard someone said, well, I was talking to a friend of mine, and my friend said, not for nothing, the cops were called here because he was abusing his girlfriend. And like always, no one is sitting down justifying the actions of the victim prior to the police getting there. Mm-hmm. What we are saying is
excessive
we're
force.
Constantly seeing you being...
Yeah, they were saying that he had other domestic violence things on his record and a couple felonies. They always want to bring that stuff up instead of focusing on the wrongdoing that's actually going on.
A person does not give a cop a right to use excessive force.
Because
on you.
to put it easier, what it is that's a strategy. You demonize the victim. You point out all of their flaws because you want the general public to be like, oh, he was a shitbag anyway.
Yeah.
Gaslighting.
How bad of a
person. Straight up gaslighting. That's what they do. That's what the media does, is gaslight people. People feel like they're being informed by the media, but it's honestly telling you what to focus on. That's what media is.
That's all it is.
It's redirection. Oh, this guy was shot. Okay, he was shot. But think about this. 7 years ago, this guy robbed the bank. Mm-hmm. What is that?
He went to jail for 5 years, did his time, and then now he's out. But
exactly, and now he gets out.
He deserved to die. That's pretty much what they're saying. He deserved.
Oh my God, it's so frustrating.
And the crazy part is everything that we're saying has happened before. Mm-hmm. All the same arguments have been used. All of the same.
It's going to happen again.
All of the same. Oh, if he were listening to the cops, he wouldn't have got shot. Oh, if he was following the rules, he wouldn't have got shot. Oh, if they were doing this, oh, he was a bad person. That's all you're ever going to see. But no one's going to say, hey, you know what? The cops are wrong. Look at Breonna Taylor killers. Mm-hmm.
They still haven't been arrested yet.
What's going on with that? And she was in her bed sleeping. What did she do wrong?
Sleep.
And then they're saying, well,
while being black.
And then there's she put an area that was a trap house. So what's that got to do anything? So her boyfriend woke up and shouted at us. You kicked my door in without identifying yourself. You were lucky. The only thing I did was shoot at you. Mm-hmm. Let's be honest.
It's ridiculously sad, y'all.
It's justifiable murder.
Yeah. That's what it comes down to.
That's another thing. I feel like another topic that needs to be spoken about is the fact that people are calling to defund the police office. The police, right? Defunding the police.
Yeah.
And I feel like that needs to be done because it is taxpayers' money at the end of the day that buys all the bullets that are killing the citizens.
I like that shit, right?
At the very least, they need to reallocate funds to put these police through better training.
I think
it's not.
I think we need better police reform all across the board. So I was thinking to myself, the way they pull people over, right? That in and of itself is an unlawful thing just because they see you, a black woman in a vehicle that looks maybe is too nice for you, obviously thinking that maybe she's doing something wrong. Let me jump behind. If there's not an obstruction on your vehicle, right? If everything is working on your vehicle, you don't have anything around your plates. If you're doing all the things and you're not breaking the law, you're not speeding, you stop at stop. If you're doing all those things, I feel there should be no reason why you're able to get pulled over. That's
at the end of the day.
You forgot where we live at.
Listen, my issue isn't the whole pulling over thing. My issue is feeling that your life is in danger after you pulled me over. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I was driving business, exactly. Now you're going to come to the car, and the first thing they do is, how's it going, sir? Wind your window down.
Yeah.
Why are you?
Look, and then they tell you while their hand is on their gun that you look nervous. You look nervous.
Yeah, you got a whole firearm.
You're acting kind of funny. Really? Really?
Yeah, why are you nervous? You're holding a gun.
No reason. You pulled me over unlawfully. There's no reason why I should be nervous.
Well, regardless of whether it's lawfully or unlawfully, just the way they approach the situation is absolutely...
Yeah, it's like a level of retraining that needs to be done. I'm just saying, in general, for the United States, all across the board, I feel like the United States needs to redo a lot of things. We're always running over to other countries to tell them how to do things so correctly, and we can't get our shit together over here. At the end of the day, yes, in the United States, cops are going to need more training. In other countries, you have to have a freaking college diploma and go through years of training before you become a police officer. Here.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if you was to take away cops' guns, right? How many of them would still want to be cops? Because you go in England.
No, that's what I'm saying. They want that power that they just have. I'm like, they don't understand or respect human life. I'm like, you're supposed to be serving us. You're supposed to be protecting us. And at the end of the day, if they don't look at people as human beings across the board, they're seeing color, you're hiring the wrong people. Just like if you say certain soldiers to fucking war, check them psychologically before you go send people to other countries to protect the United States. Are they right up here? Or are they just going to shoot because it's somebody else to shoot at?
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and end this here. All I'm going to say is, as a bartender, I've been bartending for a while, and as a bartender, we are told to de-escalate situations. When you have a drunk patron, you got to find other ways of calming them down without having them trying to fight everyone.
You don't escalate by just I'm going to call the cops.
Yeah, de-escalate as a server and as a bartender. But why is it, as a bartender, I'm held to a higher standard than a police officer is? I think that's extremely, extremely backwards. Why is it I'm trained better, and why am I being fired if I don't de-escalate? But yet you can shoot, 4 or 5 people, and it's a justifiable homicide. Why is that okay?
Because they're part of the blue.
So that's all I'm going to say on that. Yeah. I mean, that's my opinion. I feel like it's crap. That the cop that shot Jacob Blake needs to be held accountable. His feet need to be held to the fire, just as well as the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor. Because it wasn't the case. They murdered that young lady. That's what that was.
Cold blood.
Just like how Kyle Rittenhouse, whatever his name is. Again, he needs to be held to the full extent of the law. Hold his feet to the fire. Make examples out of these people.
Hold them accountable for their actions. That's really what he's done.
America's always making examples out of us because we didn't listen. We ran. We did this. We did that.
Always an excuse.
Hold them accountable. Stop making excuses for those just because of their skin color. Stop defending them just because of their skin color. Stop making us seem like we're always the bad guys. We're always wrong, no matter what we're doing. Because at the end of the day, you could be jogging and you get shot. Well, he was running away.
Yeah. I have no idea what he was running from.
Representation for us in the United States, there is definitely a lack of representation.
But okay, yeah. So with that being said, I want to say something real quick before we close it out. Earlier this week, we did lose Chadwick Boseman, the actor from Black Panther, Jackie Robinson, and a bunch of other movies. And it's hitting everyone really, really hard. Jay actually called me and wanted to talk about this. And I asked Jay a simple question, what made Chadwick his hero? And I asked the same question. And, they both pretty much gave me the same answer. As we were growing up, we had Bishop from X-Men. We had Static Shock. And these were, we had Black Lightning. These were some of the first Black superheroes we seen. We finally seen someone, Meteor Man.
Meant a lot to me.
We had these guys that we can see and we're like, hey, they look like us. We finally have representation where we're not drug dealers or we're not always the villain. And the Black Panther was that for the kids coming up now. I mean, that's all they really know. So it's hitting them the hardest, And it's sad that we lost him. It really, really is.
All the stuff.
I love his energy and his poise.
Yeah. 4 years he's been dealing with this, and how many movies has he put out? It was like 4 or 5 movies.
He's put out way more than 4. He's put out a bunch of movies.
Since this has happened, man, he's been so strong, man, and you can tell why he didn't say that. You know what I mean? He meant a lot to us, man. It means a lot.
Power, and I want to say rest in power, King. Have a safe journey.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I don't know, maybe it's just me saying this. Personally, I feel like they need to kill that character as like, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
He did.
Yeah, don't have anyone else.
No one else.
No more sequels.
Exactly. Respect the way he did. Respect his art. Respect his craft. And end it there. And that's my personal opinion.
He left us with some really good work. Really good work. So, I mean, that's, I guess, what we have to look to. Outside of that, man, he's a great young man, and it's so sad.
Yep. Really so, rest in peace, Chadwick. You will be missed. And that should be it for us, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Complicated Discord. We'll see you again next week. Same bat time, same bat place. Peace.
Peace.